Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Saturday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Dave Percy. Up first on our hazardous weather graphic, there's a wind advisory here for the Alaska Range, west of the toe cutoff through the passes, and that's out for tomorrow. Those easterly winds you're seeing today gusting to about 35 miles an hour. Already at Delta Junction. Those will turn southerly through the passes and expected to increase to 55 miles an hour throughout the day. And down here to the south, winter weather advisories out for Turnagain Pass, as well as eastern Turnagain Arm and Portage Valley. Looking for 5 inches of snow to fall, and that's out for this evening. And winds gusting 40-45 miles an hour. That'll create visibilities in the blowing snow in those areas, possibly as low as half a mile at times, and it should improve after midnight. Out to the west here, winter weather advisory out for the Yukon Delta, and that's out through tomorrow, and that's for wind gusts to 45 miles an hour, 2 to 6 inches of additional snow, and the wind with that snow will create visibilities down to a half mile at times in blowing snow. And winter weather advisory is also out for the St. Lawrence Island area, Bering Strait coast. Wind chill advisory out for the eastern Norton Sound area. That's until 6 p.m. this evening, as well as this area, Kobuk, Selawik, Noatak Valleys, Kotzebue. Wind chill advisories out until just 6 p.m. this evening for 55 degree below zero wind chills. However, up along the Arctic coast, you're going to stay under the influence of wind chill advisory through tomorrow and possibly into tomorrow night, maybe even into early Monday, as winds gusting to 40 miles an hour will keep wind chills in the 55 degree below zero range there, again, where those winds are the strongest. And moving on to satellite imagery, we've got warmer conditions, moisture shifting northward here out of the northeast Pacific, across southern Alaska. Temperatures slowly rising here over the southern areas as cloud cover advances almost, up into the mid and high stuff, up into the Fairbanks area. And rain, Kodiak, snow, Homer, and Seldovia today. Snow reported at Seward, and that'll continue to increase this evening. Mixture of rain, actually freezing rain earlier, fell at Yakutat with some light snow pushing into the about Haines, but just very light conditions there. Had a little bit of a break over the central southeast coast today. As you can see, this system pushed off well past Watson Lake, but another system is coming northward with some moisture. Nothing really strong, kind of a weak low pressure area down here in the Queen Charlottes will be tracking northwestward and be off the central coast tomorrow, and that'll bring some light rain that's currently spread into the area. Today, only about maybe 15 to 2/10 of an inch falling during the day today over the southern areas. And then this front brought anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to Kodiak. Same thing at Chignik, about 1/4 of an inch of rain. Lighter amounts to the north. And then back to the west, low pressure south of the Aleutians, keeping the Arctic front just north of the area there. And anywhere from a few hundredths to just about 1/10 of an inch falling from Adak all the way up to Cold Bay. And then different story, though, for the Pribilof Islands. You're on the cold side of the Arctic front. Winds gusting 40 to 50 miles an hour, both at St. George and St. Paul. With St. George Island reporting 1/4 mile in heavy snow this afternoon, while St. Paul had 1/2 mile in moderate snow. And that'll probably continue into this evening. And otherwise, winds starting to pick up here over the central and western interior, seeing gusts 40 miles an hour at Unalakleet, and still Gamble kind of holding on to that north-northeast wind, gusting 40 miles per hour there as well. But a place like Indian Mountain, a little higher elevation, seeing gusts 25 to 35 miles an hour, and winds increasing, as I mentioned, Delta Junction, where the wind advisory is out for tomorrow for those passes in the Alaska Range. And for tonight, front pushes northward here, so another round of rain and wind for Kodiak. Warmer temperatures could produce areas of freezing rain or sleet here in the pink shaded areas, otherwise trending toward rain, especially along the outer coastline. Chance of light snow pulls across most areas of southern Alaska, but amounts will be pretty light in the Copper River Basin. Up to about the Alaska Range, back into the upslope, you may see a little bit more significant snowfall on the southern slopes, but north of there, don't expect anything in the Tanana Valley northward, and then maybe even mostly clear for the north slope in the Arctic coast. Increasing winds, definitely increasing winds here through the western and southwest interior where that winter weather advisories are out, and the cold temperatures stay as those easterly winds become more northeasterly. That'll keep the cold air and snow, numerous snow showers or just outright snow from Adak out to Shemya, but starting to get the warmer air in toward the Pribilof Islands, so conditions will start to improve, especially tomorrow. Winds will become south-southeast, definitely temperatures rise above freezing there, mixture of rain or snow, and still pretty breezy though for the eastern Aleutian areas on the eastern side of that 954 millibar low. Back to the west, strong northerly winds and numerous snow showers with snowfall levels at sea level from roughly Atka, definitely Adak, all the way back to Shemya and Attu. Snow and blowing snow St. Lawrence Island, possibly into the Bering Strait, and pretty gusty winds on the western Arctic coast, and still pretty breezy here over the west central interior. Warmer temperatures, chance of rain, Kenai Peninsula up into Prince William Sound, but probably be a dry day for the Matanuska Valley, maybe the Susitna Valley as well, and some light rain over the central and southern southeast coast as this weak low slides northward. And taking a look at Monday, that thing really washes out and kind of just stalls over the northern panhandle, leaving some scattered showers behind, mostly over the central and northern areas, dry with possible clearing to the south. This warm front moisture kind of pulling back to the northwest, so it may miss the area there at least through Monday. Look for a break here, variably cloudy to mostly clear in the central interior areas with definitely less wind conditions. Chance of light snow or flurries, central north slope out to the central and western Arctic coast, cutting off maybe around Wainwright. Dry here for the Seward Peninsula, Yukon Delta out along the coast, so look for a mixture of precipitation. Storminess pushing into the Bering Sea, pulling definitely warm air right up towards, but not quite reaching St. Lawrence Island, so you could still be in a blowing and drifting snow situation there. And look for less snow showers out over the western Aleutians into Adak and Atka with maybe probably lighter winds as that 970 millibar low pulls into the southern and south central Bering Sea. And for lows for tonight, coming up, not as cold as they were tonight, so we'll lose the minus 50s. May even lose the minus 40s, except for maybe the north slope, probably have lows in the minus 40s there. Otherwise, out along the coast, minus 25 to minus 30. Lows in the mid-teens, Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, single numbers to Susitna Valley, which is about where they are now, so look for a gradual rise in the temperatures here all across southern Alaska. Notice Kodiak low right around 40, and in the lower to mid-30s, maybe upper 30s in the Kenai or the Alaska Peninsula here, lower 30s for the central Aleutians, upper 20s out west, and lows in the mid-20s for the Pribilofs, and 30s, maybe upper 20s over the northern panhandle. Highs for tomorrow coming up considerably into the mid-30s, windy areas of the Kenai Peninsula, south central Alaska, otherwise 25 to 30-ish, and lower teens, Copper River Basin, kind of be a big variation in highs tomorrow here across southern Alaska, depending on who sees the wind and who doesn't, but temperatures into the mid-Tanana Valley rising above zero and staying about minus 20 for Fort Yukon, the upper Yukon Valley, milder though for the Arctic coast and north slope, lower to mid-40s southern panhandle, low 30s to the north and near 40 for Alaska, lower 40s Kodiak and the Alaska Peninsula. And then for Monday morning, looks like fairly mild here on the low temperatures at the southeast coast, near 40 in the south to lower 30s up there in the north, 31 for Yakutat. And the lows here, again, anywhere from the upper 20s to the mid-30s for south central Alaska, right around zero to a little above or a little below there for the mid and upper Tanana Valley areas, minus 20s for the upper Yukon Valley, as well as the north slope in the Arctic coast, but 20s above zero for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, lower 30s for Bristol Bay, and upper 30s through the Alaska Peninsula, lower 30s to mid-20s, especially the coldest temperatures out over the western Aleutians, upper 20s for the Pribilofs, near zero for St. Lawrence Island. Afternoon highs Monday, Mid-20s there, well above zero for St. Lawrence Island now. Staying below zero for the Arctic coast parts of the North Slope, Northeast Interior, maybe down to Tok and Northway. Close to zero, but mid to maybe upper 30s for South Central Alaska. Lower 40s, Kodiak Island. And upper 30s and lower 40s there for the Alaska Peninsula to Unalaska. And the Southeast coast, not bad, mid-30s to lower 40s for your afternoon highs.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Aviation, we got VFR, central northern interior out to the Arctic coast with increasing deteriorating conditions here tomorrow morning. Southern Alaska, IFR right up the Alaska Range, North Gulf Coast, Southern Kenai Peninsula, Kodiak Island, Alaska Peninsula, and Togiak Bay into the Kuskokwim Mountains, back out to the west and then northwest across St. Matthew Island. And for the afternoon, that lifts a little farther to the north, up to St. Lawrence Island, the IFR, along the Yukon Delta coast, Nunivak Island, trying to lift north of the Pueblos, marginal down to the Aleutians. Mostly VFR up over the northern interior and the east side, and IFR hanging in along and on the eastern slopes of the western Alaska Range, North Gulf Coast, Kenai Peninsula, Prince William Sound, especially western Prince William Sound, and about 3/4 of the southeast coast in the IFR zone. And then for Monday morning, we've got a lot of IFR still over the southeast coast, marginal to IFR conditions with some scattered areas of VFR over southern Alaska, and mostly VFR central eastern interior, then a little more in the marginal conditions as you head up to the Brooks Range out to the Arctic coast. And this patch IFR hanging right over the northern Bering Sea, St. Lawrence Island, down to Nunivak Island, the coast, with some VFR there over southwest Bristol Bay. And then for Monday afternoon, still a swath of IFR from the southern Kuskokwim Mountains down to Togiak Bay and back up along the coast, Nunivak Island to St. Lawrence Island through the Bering Strait, and marginal for the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, and IFR Kodiak Island, still some IFR indicating southeast flow here for the western Alaska Range, IFR, southern Kenai Peninsula, western Prince William Sound. Pretty good areas of VFR in the central and northern interior with marginal VFR mostly for the southeast coast. And Atuvik tomorrow, VFR, same forecast for Adigan, both passes wide open. And Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR with IFR pretty likely on both eastern entrances. Same forecast for Rainy, minus the IFR. But marginal VFR, lowest conditions though will be on the eastern entrance, a little bit better off to the west. And windy looks good, VFR, be some clouds, but they'll be above the marginal threshold. Isabel though looks pretty marginal tomorrow, but back to the VFR from Antasta. Tanita, VFR. Portage, IFR, eastern entrance, otherwise marginal. Excuse me, and for Chilkoot and White, IFR. Freezing levels, 2,000 feet here, nudging up into southern Bristol Bay across the Alaska Peninsula, across Fognak Island, right just south of the North Gulf Coast, 2,000 to 4,000 feet over the Panhandle. And icing, some considerable moderate, lifting up into the southern southeast coast, but about 6,000 feet, and then losing the icing as you head north, Lynn Canal Glacier Bay, Yakutat. And then that southeast flow could be some enhanced areas of considerable moderate here, otherwise light Prince William Sound, mostly light Kodiak Island, that area kind of shifting up to the north here, and then some areas of isolated moderate rime icing back to St. Lawrence Island, Norton Sound, and southward. And for the jet stream, southerly flow of warm air moisture coming northward quite rapidly, big change, warm up in the temperatures, and the strongest jet again well to the south of the Aleutians, but kind of diverging here, and then this southerly flow coming up to the north. 9,000 feet, shaping up like this. Pretty good low center out there northeast of Atka Island. Southerlies 40 knots, eastern Aleutians, 45 knots into Bristol Bay. 50 to 60 knots southwest interior here. Lighter as you head north, 15 for the north slope, and 40 knots approaching the Kenai Peninsula. And south, 15 to 30, maybe even as high as 35 knots here along the southern southeast coast. 3,000 feet, lighter winds, more southeasterly, 10 to 20 here for the Panhandle. 25 Gulf of Alaska, 15 to 20 eastern interior, easterly 20 to 25 there across the north slope, especially out here to the west. And south to southeast, 50 to 55 or 45 to 55 knots, maybe up to 70 knots here for the Kuskokwim Valley. Northerlies on the backside of that low up to 40 to maybe, well, around 40 knots there, 35 to 40. And taking a look at turbulence, widespread area of moderate chop, especially for small aircraft below 6,000 to 8,000 feet here. Alaska Peninsula, Eastern Aleutians, Kodiak, Kenai Peninsula, Cook Inlet, back to the west-northwest to Kotzebue Sound, and also out over the central western Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
It used to be that you could only warn one person about a tornado after it had already blown down someone else's barn.
Now, on average, we're able to issue a tornado warning 15 minutes before the tornado's even there, and that wouldn't be happening without Doppler radar.
This NexRad system has reduced fatalities on the order of 45% due to tornadoes since its advent.
We have a lot more information now about storms and being able to understand how they develop, how they produce severe weather, and how that information might be used to improve warnings for our National Weather Service partners.
The lab is unique in that we serve the nation by supporting the National Weather Service in its mission to protect lives and safe property by improving the accuracy and the lead time of severe weather warnings.
We have a legacy of radar research and converting existing technology from military to weather purposes.
A recycled Doppler radar led to the development of NexRad, installed nationwide in the early 90s. It allowed forecasters to see storms like never before.
Not only did we help bring that technology to the National Weather Service and to help protect lives and property, but we have continued to upgrade that technology, keep it relevant, and keep it state-of-the-art.
Recently, a major upgrade was added. Dual polarization technology takes the radar from 2D to 3D. Forecasters now know more about what type of precipitation is falling, which is very helpful during winter storms, as well as how much rain is accumulating, resulting in better flash flood warnings. The radar can also detect and track tornadoes based on debris. Looking to the future, the National Severe Storms Lab is testing the capabilities of phased array radar. Originally used by the U.S. Navy, the antenna scans the skies electronically rather than mechanically, allowing the radar to focus on a storm.
With current technology, we get a full picture or image of what is going on within a storm every 4 to 5 minutes. So it's more like a snapshot. Whereas with phased array radar, we get that picture of what's going on in the storm every minute. So it becomes more like watching a movie. So we can do adaptive, rapid scanning on the storms that matter most, being able to provide the information that's most relevant when and where it's happening.
Another advantage of phased array radar is its multifunction capability, providing weather and air traffic information simultaneously.
Number one, it is a system that promises to replace and expand upon the existing weather surveillance radars. Secondly, to replace aging air traffic surveillance radars. And number three, it offers the potential application to meet Department of Homeland Security and defense requirements for identifying and tracking non-cooperative aircraft. With the replacement of all these various radars with a single system, the American taxpayer could realize substantial savings in cost.
You have a lot fewer radars to maintain, and the electronic capability of this also reduces maintenance costs because you do not have moving parts.
Not too long ago, the ability to predict severe weather was thought to be impossible. During the past several decades, research conducted at the National Severe Storms Lab has developed life-saving tools like Doppler radar. We've progressed from no warning of threatening weather to about a 15-minute lead time, and current research promises to extend that much further.
Our knowledge of severe storms and how they behave, and our use and ability to use the Doppler radar technology is in a lot of cases a direct result of that close working relationship, that research to operations component that we get between the National Severe Storms Laboratory and a forecast office.
That history and understanding of how these data can be used by our users and doing the research to help advance the use of radar technology, really it's what we live for, it's in our lifeblood, it's in our history.
It's now easier than ever to be a part of weather research. We just launched the mPing app for both iPhone and Android users, and it's totally free. PING, which stands for Precipitation Identification Near the Ground, is a research project by the NOAA National Severe Storms Lab and the University of Oklahoma. With the mobile app, you can send us your weather observations on the go. Are snowflakes falling on your head? Is hail hitting your car? Just select what type of precipitation is falling and press submit. It's that easy. It takes about 5 seconds and it's anonymous. Reports can then be viewed online. Our scientists will compare your report with what the radar has detected. This helps us develop new radar technologies and techniques. Download the app today, share your reports, and let's work together to make our nation weather ready. Learn more here and follow us.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis continuing to expand south and southwestward. Will continue to do so for the next 24 hours, and then it'll come to a halt as those warmer easterly winds spread northward. And over the next several days, look for a significant loss of ice in northern Cook Inlet. And for the coastal water forecast, southeast 20. Here on the south coast, turn east 20 on the north coast, and then back around to the southeast, coming down to 15 farther to the north. Northerlies 15 for the northern and central inside waters. Clarence Strait southeast at 20. And then those drop off to just easterly at 10 for Monday. Otherwise, Stevens Passage northeast at 15. Northern Lynn Canal northeast about 20 with 4-foot seas. And southeasterlies 20 knots along the outer coastline with seas running at 12 feet. And for Kamishak Bay, east winds 40 knots tomorrow, minimum gales for the Barren Islands out of the southeast, northeast 30 knots for the areas south of the Forelands here in Cook Inlet, north side northeast at 20, east 20, 4-foot seas, Prince William Sound, southeast winds 25 to 30 for the North Gulf Coast with seas 12 to 13 feet. Low small craft advisories continue, 25 knot winds east northeast southeasterly for the North Gulf Coast, southeast 30 for the Barren Islands. East 20, Prince William Sound, northeast 20, northern Cook Inlet, small craft advisories, southern Cook Inlet, and east 30 for Kamishak Bay. Those seas at about 10 feet. And for Kodiak, east side, 35 knots southeasterlies, that's good for minimum gales, 20-foot seas, southeast 30 for Shelikof Strait. Sitkinak to Castle Cape, good south winds at 40 knots, 30 knots, Castle Cape to Cape Sarachev. Bering Sea side of the peninsula, southerly gales at 35 knots, 9-foot seas, southeast gales for Bristol Bay. Outlook for Monday, easterly gales, east 35 knots for Bristol Bay, southeast 35 for the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, small craft advisories 25 to 30 knots, southeast winds Cape Sarachev up to Sitkinak, and east-southeast 25 for Kodiak Island. On to the Fox Islands, south to southwest 40 knots for the Fox Islands tomorrow, seas running 15 to 25 feet. And then north to northwest, 30 to 35 knots across Adak and Atka, and then northerly gales from Adak all the way out to Shemya and Attu. And then for Monday, those turn more northwesterly, come down to about 30 knots, seas hanging just under 20 feet. Northwest 30 to 35 knots, Adak and Atco seas right around 20 feet on the Bering Sea side. And then westerlies at 30 knot into Unmak Island turn south to southwest 30 to 35 knots around Alaska Island with seas as high as 20 feet. And for the southwest coast, north of Nunivak Island, northeast winds 35 knots. That pattern right up across St. Lawrence Island. Tad lighter in Norton Sound, east 35 south of St. Lawrence Island. 45 knot northeasterlies here for St. Matthew Island. Southeast 40, 16-foot seas for the Pribilofs. And for Monday, southeast 30 there for St. Paul, St. George. Gale force southeasterlies here as high as 40 knots south of Nunivak Island. Along the coast with 11-foot seas on Monday, northeast down to 30 for St. Matthew Island. And brisk wind advisories, east 25, Norton Sound and St. Lawrence Island. And for the Beaufort Sea coast tomorrow, brisk wind advisories, all areas down to Cape Thompson here for easterlies 25, mostly 30 knots right out of the east, northeast 20 for the Chukchi Sea. And then for the Monday forecast, east winds everywhere, all the zones east, 30 knots for the Arctic coast, and then from Cape Beaufort down to Wales east at 25. And then for tonight, winds increasing here along with the moisture, snow, and temperature. So everything increasing here for southern Alaska, up into especially the west side with rain, Kodiak Island, rain lighter for the Alaska Peninsula Aleutians, and snow or snow showers, pretty widespread and numerous, starting to improve late tonight for the Pribilofs, and chance of rain or rain and snow mixed, lightening up toward the northern panhandle, increasing moisture here for southern Alaska, and temperatures rise above freezing in the windy areas tomorrow of southern Alaska, especially out along the coastline. Rain tapers off for Kodiak, snow blowing snow there, the Bering Strait to St. Lawrence Island, good 954 millibar low. Keeps it wet and mild for the eastern Aleutians, and occasional rain, mostly central and southern southeast coast. And for Monday, that low dissipates, dissolves into just a weak trough, leaving a few showers behind. Not too bad over the central interior, lighter winds, warmer temperatures. Rain, Kodiak Island, chance of rain, Kenai Peninsula, and a better chance here along the southwest coast.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.